We good?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. My name is Frank Perrine.
I'm Cody Decker.
And today we're going to be reviewing a book
Called Aeronauts, Windlass. I don't know how to pronounce that second
I
word.
don't either. That's why I gave it to you.
Yeah. I think a windlass is a type of ship. I thought it was windlass, because it's like a flying ship.
That's what I thought of.
But this is an audiobook by Jim Butcher, narrated by Ewan Morton. And I think he did a great job doing this.
I think he did a great job. He really did.
And for Aeronauts Windlass is a steampunk post-apocalypse fantasy story with magic crystals and gauntlets and like cats and catboy super soldiers.
When you say cats, that's just follow us.
Yeah, there's a cat who and if I ever own a cat, it'll be named after the one in this book.
Yes. No, it was actually they have a lot of stuff in there. But it's great. Narrator did great.
Yeah,
read the book was amazing.
I like he can because it's split too because there's 4 protagonists. There's like 5, right? There's 2 guys, 2 girls, and a cat.
Yes.
And he has to cover all of them. And a lot of the times when a guy narrator has to cover a girl voice, it takes me out of it for a bit. But I think he did a good job with that. Like it felt real.
No, yeah, he did. I think so. I mean, it was one of those. It was one of those books that took me a little bit because of the other stuff I'm reading. But it was great. I think overall, you don't have to have a good imagination, but it definitely helps.
Yes, and in the physical book that I managed to find at a thrift store, because every time I went to go buy it, they'd be like, "We can order it for you." I was like, "Yeah, I could too." It included like diagrams of how the ships look.
Oh, see, now that would have been cool.
Yes, and that should be right there.
Yeah.
Because the ships are like, because it's steampunk has like flying ships with sails that did.
Yeah.
A lot of it I think is justifying steampunk tropes, which I enjoy stuff like that. But the ship, it looks like a ship, kind of like a submarine, and there's sails in every direction.
Right.
So there's sails up,
Which
above
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah, because it's a.
They do reference one of the ships being made out of wood and using old sails.
Yeah.
Which that was really interesting to me. That was really cool.
Yeah, and it's like there's still theories about it because this is the first one, but it's not clear if this is Earth after an event or if this is just a fantasy planet with its own rules. Because they mentioned the world was shattered, and we'll go into this at the end. But the author said he's working on this other fantasy series, and he said he's not going to do the sequel to this until he's done with that. That one is about like the Armageddon. So like, is this in the same setting?
Yeah, and I could see that. So just to set it up, the majority of the story happens basically in the sky. So they talk about the surface, but it's clouded. It's like shrouded with fog, and
It's like bugs and stuff.
Yeah, and it's very apparently a dangerous place, and they're even taught that from children that it's a dangerous place. Kind of like my son's bedroom. No, I'm just kidding.
A land of chaos.
A land of chaos. No, but it does really good. And once you get into that, with the things that come up, kind of you start seeing in your head. It makes sense. They tether on, everyone tethers on, and it makes sense because they could fall off and fall to the.
Yeah, and that's like considered. Yeah. There's a lot of parallels between like obviously space or sea stuff where it's like
correct.
One of the worst things that could happen is to be just left on the surface alone.
Right.
And it's like even an enemy ship wouldn't they would like send you a little buoy or something.
Yeah.
Because like that's the cruelest thing you could do to someone is leave them there.
Yeah, and they didn't go too much into that, and I kind of understand it, but I wish they would have. And maybe in his other book he's going to.
Yeah, so. There's a lot of mystery. All you get is one monster, and it's like a spider, right?
Well, multiples.
They're more than, well.
Yeah, there's a lot of adults, and then the smallers. And
yeah, but like we get like the spider monsters.
Yes.
And
what
then
what are they called? They're called silk weavers.
Yes, and they imply a lot more stuff going on, which the book also includes like drawings of those like flying things, and they talk about the mist maw, which is like their like giant whale of the sky or something, that big shark. Yeah, they talk about it a bit in the beginning, which I didn't really pick on the first time I listened to the book.
I did not.
But they talk about how like there's a thing called the mist maw, and it's basically just like if it wants to eat us, it will, and it's attracted to like the magical stuff on our ship, and so like so you have to assume that's gonna pop up later. But yeah, it was just like because someone's new to it and they're being explained, like, and they're like, those aren't real, are they? Like, no, those are real.
Yeah, and if they want to eat us, they'll eat us.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Because this author, he's the one who took the classes from Deborah Chester, the one who wrote the fantasy fiction formula.
Oh, the book you talk about all the time.
Yes, and his first book, Stormfront, was beat for beat that story. She said, do not have your first book take place from one character's perspective. Once you're more experienced, then you can have multiple characters' perspective, and that's what this one is.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, so he really follows all those guidelines. So if you listen or read that book, this is a good author to check in on, because he's following those instructions.
Yeah, I think I mean, for me, sometimes that loses me. And in this book it kind of did, jumping from different
characters,
because you're into this all of a sudden, and you're halfway through the sentence, and maybe it's my dyslexia, but then I'm halfway through it going, wait a minute, this isn't the same guy. And then I got to go back. Oh, all right, now they're talking about Rar.
Yeah, Raoul.
Yeah. And that's what cracked me up too, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Which I didn't even know about him when I first got the book. Because again, I don't read synopsises. So that little reveal, I was like, oh, that was very fun. That was a cool way of having that. Of course, if you know, it doesn't take, because when I re-listened to him, that's still a fun reveal for people. Oh,
it is. It is. I enjoyed it. I mean, you always have problems with things because, the way they fit in things, but overall, that was enjoyable. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked the opening to it too. It's this is because listening to Etiquette and Espionage.
Yes,
I realized these are standard steampunk tropes that each one's doing.
Yeah,
because this was the first steampunk book I did. So going through it again, it was interesting seeing the comparisons, because where this one, it still has a prim and proper lady in a mansion going, oh, Elizabeth Margaret. Again, I don't know if you can do those voices. Margaret Eisenhower, whatever. They have 10 names.
Yeah, I can't name all the names.
And then you're like, okay, this is, Victorian era. But then that quickly devolves into her doing putting someone through a judo throw and firing a magical gauntlet from her hand and blowing up statues. And I was like, okay.
But I'm so glad, believe it or not, that we reviewed, the espionage book, because it totally I was kind of in it, and then all of a sudden now I'm reading this, and it was really cool.
Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, I was telling the person who recommended Etiquette, and I was like, you should read this book.
Oh yeah, dude.
This definitely has more fighting. This is more of the
definitely more fighting.
They go, they have someone one of the main characters grew up growing these magical crystals, so you'll get just paragraphs of her explaining how they work. And I'm like, oh, I like that stuff.
But there's a lot of also politics in this book.
Mm-hmm. And
a lot of politics, a lot of different families, their history, and although I like that in some aspects, it kind of goes dry in other aspects for me in this book.
I did enjoy with the morality of the politics, which is the enemy faction. They're shown that they're not evil, and you even get a moment where the evil catboy that they have, he's please don't make me send this guy to get eaten to death by spiders. Yeah,
but didn't you find that a little, I wouldn't say hypocritical, but in the fact that you have a, here this warship, these different warships with all these cannons, and, they could, they're there for a reason. They're obviously warring with each other at different points of view, but then all of a sudden, either side has this this moral standing, except for the one girl,
Wait, she just, yeah.
Yeah. But that's, I was a little, because mankind is brutal. I don't care if you're writing a book or not.
It gave me because it's Victorian era, The idea of like honor in combat, where it's like and you see that when they're fighting another ship and the person surrenders, and it's like, okay, we have their surrender, it's done now, and then they sent them like help under the terms of those surrender.
Right, I understand that.
It's a for me, it was like a
okay, yeah, that makes sense. I understand that.
The bad faction is bad, and you get the characters like, I'm not going, it was like, if I do abduct this girl, I'll kill her. I'm not gonna do anything beyond that. I'm not gonna let anything beyond that happen.
And not to backtrack on what I said, but there are parts where the true humanity come out in that even in that description. Mm-hmm. Because the two guys were like, well, they're going to die. Yeah. We're leaving, saving our own asses.
Yeah. And you
that makes sense. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
There's a special code that they should stand by.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do.
But Captain Grimm always does.
But Captain Grimm always holds the line.
Our Captain Pirate guy, he's like the most honorable person.
He is. And he's the most honorable person.
And there is that, like, there's like a code of conduct for Aeronaut specifically. Yes. That like he follow. And I really like that, he's the team normal person. The team normal.
Yes.
And then because of everyone contributes in this team, which I really like. I don't like it in a group team where it's like, that's the person that does everything, and then that's their friend. Yeah. It is like the team normal guy, and then he ends up being able to handle the bigger threats because of like a unique skill he has, or literally because of his personality. He's able to overcome a threat that like that other magic user would have been overwhelmed by.
Yeah, and I like the kind of way that they kind of almost Star Trekked it, meaning the fact that you have multiple different people, parts of multiple different departments that all doing their job, saves the day. Mm-hmm. That was kind of cool. Yeah. So it wasn't just the captain, or in most stories where it's like, here's the guy, but they never explained the poor, engine dude that made it happen. Mm-hmm. It's just the captain. But in the end, even there's parts in the book where he makes it a point to show the other people that a captain does more.
Yeah, where he helps out with cooking because of like a shifting schedule error. Yeah, and he's like, nope, like that's what the captain has to do and he's also like, yeah, well, they're gonna make sure they never want me to do this again, though. Yeah.
But it was the whole point of it, and he explains it, and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. That's really cool.
Yeah. Captain, which does lead to the thing where this author has a joke going with the artist of the book, of the covers. In his original series, The Dresden Files with a Magic Wizard, he doesn't have a hat. And the artist drew him with a huge hat on the cover.
Oh, that's funny.
And now in every cover, he draws him with a huge hat, to the point where now in the book, the character saw a drawing of him and was like, why does everyone think I wear a hat?
Oh, now I get it. See, I didn't even know that. And I kept on thinking, why does he keep on talking about his hat?
And in this one, the character famously loves his hat, and if you look at the cover, he's not wearing it. Yeah. So they have there's a behind the scenes joke going on.
Even when the cat sends the other cat, she's look for the guy with the real big hat. Yeah. That's funny. I wish I would have known that before. Why didn't you tell me?
It didn't feel like it.
See, what is that?
It's poor
That's not teamwork.
Poor salesmanship.
That is.
I love the intro with you get this character in this and the ending too, with the mom revealing that she's way cooler. I don't know what other word to use for it than what she lets her daughter think. She's like, well, she's gonna not do anything. If I tell her to do something, she won't do it.
Well, that's one thing that I found in the book was kind of, I wouldn't say overdone, but it seemed like everyone had their own special ability. Because if you think about it, even the engine guy, he'd been doing it that many long, and he has this crystal, and he knows exactly what it does. Yes, and she improves that, but it seems like everyone has their own thing, which is cool in a way, but
it's a thing I enjoy. But you think it's too
I think
it's too. I mean, it's a little too convenient that these four people happen to all complement each other with very specific skills.
And I get it, it's a story, but I guess that's how it would be if you had an invisible power and that you were in Professor X's school. Yeah. Everyone around you, really? So he could do fire. He could do, there's Iceman. What can I do? I just have toxic farts.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
when they do that X-Men thing where it's like, but by having toxic farts, you can manipulate the toxicity of the atoms. So really, you're an Omega level mutant.
Yes.
That thing they have to do every single time.
Magneto, you can melt his armor.
Yeah, Magneto, he can control atoms. That's what he can control magnets. Calm down. He's called Magneto. That's just magnets. It could not be more clear what the limits of his abilities are.
Yeah. And if he gets too close to a fridge, forget it.
You got him
He's
dead
on the
to
fridge.
rights. So your introduction to the first character, which I do like that she's given, like, it's shown that there's drawbacks to her.
Yes. And that was cool. I like that.
Because she's very, like, forward and, she's like, her specialty would be shooting crystals, and she, like, understands crystals. And in this world, like, crystals, if current's flown through them, they can either manipulate, like, the gravity of something, or it can shoot out a blast of energy. And that's her specialty.
And they mature.
Yeah, and
I found that was really cool.
As they get older, the structures in them solidify more, and they get more powerful, and then so it's like...
And the ones that are using the boats, what it was like, they won't see their full potential for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And so it's like when war happens, those are all bought out, and it's like the most valuable thing you can have is one of those, because you can't replace 1,000 years of building.
Right, but there's a family that make them.
Yeah. So, and it's like, so they're the most important family, and, you know, that person's going to grow up probably like raising, one batch of crystals until the next gen comes in.
And our main character, she comes from a family that at one time was like her dad's this huge general, and he saved the world. And so she's coming from this family of that kind of like upbringing, but the family really, it's only her and her dad. So the family really isn't in as good a standings as they used to be at one point.
Oh, the cat girl.
Yes.
Yeah, Bridget, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked it because they now grow meat in vats, which I think was another interesting little element. Because like everyone lives in like stone towers that are like the size of cities, and her family now just grows meat, which is like not as respected as people who grow crystals.
Correct.
And it's to the point where our status is largely just a carryover from our glory days.
Right. And I mean, that's how that's how the story progresses very fast and then kind of slows down. But how she gets in trouble because of that.
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting because for a while, I thought like this is just going to be an academy thing, which is...
I did too.
And I thought like, oh, like she's going to have to deal with this bully. Where's the drama going to go there? And the story basically goes like, okay, you got your setup, and now here's the other story.
Now, did you feel a little uncomfortable? So let's first get there. So she ends up talking to this guy from this other family, and they have an exchange of words, which they kind of offend each other. And then this other girl steps in, so kind of jacks up his whole standing. So he challenges her to a duel. And it's like the old school, throw the glove at you and, psh, psh, psh. But that part kind of weirded me out because I'm like, really, dude?
He's gonna challenge her to a duel?
Yeah.
It's a more forward time.
I guess so. And I guess I shouldn't think like that because, all duels, I guess.
Well, and they do mention that she's like, because she was challenged, so she gets to pick the weapon. And so they were like, well, challenge him to a fist fight. Because if he wins... Yeah. Who's going to have a higher opinion of him?
Yeah.
And who's going to have a lower opinion of you?
But plus also she's strong because she grows meat.
Yeah.
She's a meat grower.
And and that was a fun thing I like, because they mentioned it's like, they grow it in vats and just carry slabs of meat. And her dad is like this giant dude and he's like super gentle. And, but yeah, she just has this like natural stout strength, which, comes up every now and then in the action.
Yeah, it
scenes.
does. It does.
I remember like she like throws a guy and he's like, oh wow.
Now, but don't you think that the duel was just drawn out? I felt it was just drawn
too much build up.
Yeah, and then nothing.
Well, that's what I liked is 'cause I was like, I'm in this world. I'm like in these characters. Like, oh, I guess it's gonna be a school thing, and they go like. And now we're jumping straight into a much more serious plot. Yeah,
no, I get it, but I think that me personally, that whole build-up part could have been
Oh, I mean, I can see that too, especially
It was
if,
a long time.
if it all builds up to, oh, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, you could have cut that in half. And yeah, you were building the characters. I get it. But I'm waiting for the duel, dude.
Yeah, I guess it was more of an opportunity for Raoul to shine.
I think so.
Because
I think so. I mean, I like the part where he was involved. Once he started getting involved, it was badass. Mm-hmm. But just the whole build up and then them arguing about why they shouldn't, and then bringing in the guy, well, you shouldn't fight, and you got to have a second, and I'm just like, oh, dude, get there.
Yeah, you know what? When you're saying, I can see that because it's like all of your investment into these rules is thrown away.
Yeah.
So even if you're getting if you're taking in all these notes, unlike okay, so. You need a second to supervise. Now that's the weapon. That's the arms master. He's going to do that. And then it's like the alarm is something.
That's what I mean.
It is. It is kind of like. Well, I guess
all the stuff that you read, forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, unless duels are a very important part in the second book.
Right.
Right.
And maybe it was to build the whole etiquette and the way that the society works. Maybe that's why they probably did that, or he did that. But to me, it was just like, I had to restart it. No joke. Because I was just like, okay, wait a minute. And you've told you guys that sometimes I read things multiple times. So I had to, or listen to. So I had to go back and listen to it. And then, at that point, I'm like, oh, it still sucks. They still didn't have to do that. Yeah. But I mean, I get it. People like that whole build up. I understand.
This is the hard part. When do we talk about the cat?
Well, I mean, yeah, because
he's the main character.
We're gonna have to talk about him. I mean, yeah,
but on the other hand, it was kind of a reveal.
I know that. But how are you? I mean, how are you supposed to talk about the story without it? Mm-hmm. So there's a bigger reveal. Well, a big reveal. We could, wait until the end. So,
yeah.
But we're gonna have to bring up the cat.
Yeah, because he is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
And I love it. Everything about him just made sense, and it was like this is like I believe this is how a cat would act. It's to the point where it's like I kind of started looking at my roommate's cats differently with a little more respect. Because I feel like I understood them a little bit more,
Yeah, and I could see the writer, in my opinion, doing things like that. Because if you look at all the names, Meow.
Meow.
Everything's like a cat.
Meow.
What a cat does.
Row is row.
Yeah. Everything's like what a cat does. I was laughing. I used to have cats, so I mean, and so in the book, one of the main characters, she has a cat, and in the beginning, it's no big deal. They does cat things and all that stuff, and then it ends up where she could communicate with this cat.
Yeah. Do you know the line that he says when you're introduced to him?
Oh, what was it?
Can you do that gravelly? You're squishing my fur.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, can you do that gravelly?
I don't know if I could do it. I'll try it.
Because she's like petting a cat, and she's like, I don't know if I want to go to the school of education, and father wishes that I just don't know what to do.
You're squishing my fur.
Yeah, that's how it went. I was like, that was cool. Kind of the sales pitch for me. Yeah. Was the cat talking.
And at first you're like, what?
And she goes, oh, sorry, Raoul.
And he calls her Little Mouse.
Yeah. You got the voice.
So funny. And it turns out that there is a whole society of cats. And the cats feel like at any time they could take out the humans. They just live in coexistence with the idiot humans.
Yeah, they have a low opinion of humans.
Oh, yeah.
And they do talk about how it's like, oh, yeah, like you could beat a cat in a fist fight. Sure, but that's not what they're going to do. They're going to sneak into your room at night and slit your throat.
Yeah, or steal everything.
Yeah, if you don't pay them protection, if you don't give them treats as protection money, all your food's going to be gone.
Oh, it was hilarious. That part, when it started with that, I was sold.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
He's like, he's so, he's like, I am cat, I'm superior. But he's like, I do like you though.
And every time it's like, it's all about him. So it's like, well, we're going to send her here. And he's all like, no, you're coming with me.
Yeah, it's like, you're coming with me, Raoul.
No, you're coming with me, little mouse.
That's the part that I'm like, this is a favorite for me.
He was good. Like Garfield. I pictured Garfield.
I think he's
because he's a tabby.
Yeah.
He's a tabby. And then it gets. I really enjoyed when they were getting into that, because not only have they been living with humans and all this stuff, the humans know that they're another race in this book. So that there's one guy that can speak cat, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I like him already.
Yeah.
Because he could speak a little bit of cat. So they know that it's a different race, which throws a whole twist on it.
And people who know that, because some people are like, oh, they're just smart creatures, because a lot of people can't speak cat because it just sounds like meowing.
Right.
And he's like, well, of course, all well-educated men, all sophisticated men know how to speak cat. And the cat, that's when he goes like, I like him.
Yeah.
I can do the girl voice. I can't do the... And that's, it is like people who know about cats, you have to like stroke their ego. And the cat even says at one point where he's like, I'm not sure if she's just humoring me or not. Because I know humans do that too. Because they're like, I know humans don't take us completely seriously. Yeah. They have a high opinion of themselves. And there's like, they go into it, but like the cat girl, Bridget, her family, who used to be in a high standing, they are still in a very good standing with cats, which not many people are.
Correct.
And that's sort of like her like addition to the team is, one, she's like really strong, and two, she's like an emissary for cats and humans. Yes.
And they have like different clans, the Five Claws,
the Shadow Claws, the Quick Tails, the Whiskers.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting. That part of it was really cool. And they have their own intelligence and their own, way of doing things and raising their kids. And it goes into this like just really interesting.
Yeah, humans aren't allowed to be near kittens until cats are able to raise them, because like you're gonna coddle them, you're gonna they won't be true cats if you're allowed near them. And like Bridget being like, she was like born the same time as that cat.
Yeah,
and they kind of grew up together, and like, oh yeah, that never happens. Like they never let that happen.
And in a duel, you have to pick a second. So the other guy picks his friend or whoever it was. And in the end, Raoul becomes her second. And some of those parts were just hilarious.
Yeah.
Because they're about to see this duel and he can't see it.
Yeah.
And he is like a regal cat. So he doesn't think that he has a problem. So he's like, I cannot see. And so this guy picks up this 300-pound thing and puts it there.
Yeah.
So he could jump on it. He jumps on it. And then he goes, well, how is that? It will do. Like it wasn't good enough that you moved a 300-pound rock here so I could stand on it, and you're still talking smack.
He's a prince. Great. He's a warrior prince. His father is named Maul. Yeah. And I do like that it shows his dad is like, no, he's a wildly disrespectful. So it's also like, I don't think all cats talk like him. It is like, that's a him thing too.
Yeah, but the girl in there was pretty sneaky too.
Yeah, and he's like a crush, or like he has like a thing for like like meow. Yeah. And he's like, perhaps I'll write a song for her someday.
And it's really cool because what I did like, unfortunately, all these people have superheroes or whatever, not superpowers, but what I did like in the end of it is how each one of them played their piece in the story. Some to good, some to bad, but that part was cool.
Yeah, thinking about it, it is a little convenient that all these people that are very specialized.
But you got to write a book.
Yeah, they weren't even like in the same school. They just happened to talk to each other, and then they got put on the thing. Which there is a reason why they were separated and isolated and is chosen as this group. Yeah. The other characters we have Bridget the cat girl. And then we have the catboy super soldier, because there's a race called the Warrior Born, which, as far as I can tell, are humans that are like spliced with other animal genes. Yes. And at the very least, they're spliced with cats, and I think some are spliced with spiders or silk weavers.
Yes. Yeah, that was weird, because I was already bouncing off the other one. I'm like, what? Okay, what?
Yeah. So
but it was cool.
There's a cat girl in the sense that she like has a cat, and there's a literal cat boy. And I thought it was very, they have like a budding romance together. And I did like that when he took his shirt off, she blushed. I thought that was like I saw like that's a popular fan drawing. Is the scene?
Oh, you know what? I've seen that.
Yeah, you saw it where it's her going, oh my.
Yes, I've seen that.
and,
I just saw it the other day. It was like almost like an anime drawing this person drew.
Yeah.
And the guy's taking off his shirt, look Fabio style, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh."
Because the Catboy is the cousin of the Crystal Girl. I'm gonna give him vague description so you can remember.
I'll get it.
So you get his cousin being like, oh, sometimes I forget that he's like an incredibly ripped super soldier, and other women would view him as a sexual object.
Yes.
And because he's like, that guy's gonna need more bandages. He just takes a shirt. I was like, yeah.
It was kind of cool because it shows. Well, in this scene, there's hurt people, so she's like taking off different layers of her dress to make bandages, and now she's down to the last one. So the guy's all, keep on bring him on, and she goes, oh, I can't. This is my last one, and he looks at her and he goes, very well, and she's like, well, your shirt. So he takes off his stuff and rips off his shirt. You could kind of see that. Mm-hmm. Just totally Fabio style.
Yeah.
Rips off his shirt. You can see the slow motion music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for pirates and the flowing wind,
yeah.
all that.
And you know what? There wasn't a lot of that in there. And I think about it, I would expect it.
Especially because only one of them has been on a ship before, I think. I think the Catboy may have been.
Yeah.
But like you get like one scene of the person of like Grimm like explaining to them like, oh yeah, like because people can't see the sun. It's like the environment's so weird and twisted. So when you get on an aeronaut ship,
right,
or an aero ship, a ship, a lot of people go crazy because you go from not even seeing stars to seeing everything, and that I did like too. That's how they justify goggles. Because in steampunk, goggles are a thing, right?
Yes.
And it's like, why? So in this story, it's because the sun is blinding. A lot of people have never seen the sun before.
But it makes sense with goggles in steampunk. Because you got steam. You need goggles.
What I do when I cook with steam is I put my full face in the steam. And someone told me that's like bad.
Well, it depends if you're actually cooking or is it just like, well, yeah, that's bad.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, oh, that's okay.
No. It'd be different if you put your face in the sink with hot water, but you're talking about water that's like at unsafe levels.
I'm boiling water. I don't know.
But it's unsafe levels, dude. It's high. It's
all right. Well, yeah, I don't do it anymore.
Well, thank
because
goodness.
Another thing society has ruined for me is just putting my face in steam.
So society has stopped you.
Yes.
Not common sense.
It feels I don't know. I've never noticed any consequences to it. My eyesight's already bad. What's going to happen? It gets worse. And they're like, you're going to die. I'm like, how am I going to die breathing in steam? Didn't they do this all the time?
No, it's not so much dying. You're just talking about the heat. Now, I'm not a respiratory therapist, so I don't know. But standing above a boiling pot of water with your face in it kind of has could possibly have consequences.
All right, well.
But I'm glad you're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I do have asthma, and that has gotten worse over the years, but I don't think there's a connection.
Okay.
Now, in Alloy of Law, which we'll get to at some point by Sanderson and part of the Mistborn series, the way they justify... Because he was like... That was another steampunk type storyline.
Yes.
So he was like... He just made the character like do some chemistry for a bit to like have goggles on. Because he's like, I just wanted to explain why a lot of artwork has him wearing goggles. Because... Yeah, I like seeing every author like tackle justifying traditional.
Maybe it's
things.
a Mandela effect. I bet you it is.
The Manila effect?
No, not Manila. Mandela.
Oh, I remember it being different than that.
Well, no, the fact that, think about it, most of the time you're looking at old school stuff, flight, the Model T, old vehicles, they're all wearing goggles.
That actually just completely answers that question, doesn't it? That does.
So it reflects on the fact that they're creating this environment, and just in their head, there you go.
They have that at the
have
thing
goggles.
I'm basing. Yeah.
Hence the big trench coats and everything when they used to use, because I mean, back in the day, they used to have the Model T and it didn't have a roof. Well, some were convertible, but you'd be driving and bugs flying in your face and everything like that. I mean, you're only going like 2 miles an hour, but still.
Ugh.
No, I don't know. I think it was going faster than that, but not that much faster.
It sounds terrifying. So the plot we have, we meet all 5 characters.
Yes.
They're doing oddly funny. I'm noticing this now is they refer to it as a finishing school. I don't know if that's just a British term for school.
Yeah.
It was a lot of stuff like, oh wow, because I thought this was more unique, not in a negative context in any way. Just I didn't realize this was playing with a lot more tropes than I realized.
Yeah, and I mean, originally I thought they were just finishing equipment, furniture.
Finishing school. That's what my
Finishing skills. Send you to finishing skills.
that's what I wish my my ex went to. I've been some variation of that I wanted to make ever since we did espionage and etiquette.
Oh, jeez Louise. Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I would just wake up at like 1 a.m. I'm like,
Yeah, it's pretty scary that he hovers over, boiling water with his face.
yeah, that's how I get my ideas, my insights.
Ah.
You transcend mentally. So they go to this school because royalty or anyone in upper class has to serve like a 1 year in the king's service.
Right.
And it's like, it's mostly a formality. We're not going to war or anything. It sucks. You have to go away. It's like boarding school.
Yeah.
And
everyone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially highborn people.
And that's where the cats want to be like recognized officially. Yeah. So to do that, they have to send you have to send in like one of your children.
Yeah.
If you're from a royal house into it. So that's why Raoul gets sent in, because he's the son of like one of the biggest cat clans in the whole Spire.
And that's where I didn't get lost. I mean, I enjoy some stuff like that. The politics, you were talking about, I mean, they even explain that if you don't do certain things, there's people out to take advantage of that and fine your family through the law, and they can, fine you so crazy that it would be the end of your family.
And that's why Bridget, Catgirl, is in her predicament with the guy she's been doing. Is he comes from a much bigger house,
right? And
he could easily shut her family down.
Yeah, he comes from the house that makes crystals, right?
No,
he doesn't.
He comes from another house. I don't think it's not as big as the Gauntlet Girls, because she's like,
right.
She comes from like the biggest house in the world because they draw crystals.
Yes.
Bridget, so you get like a thing there, right? So the Crystal Girl is the highest class.
Right.
The Cat Girl comes from the lowest royal house you can come from.
Yeah, and if that kind of stuff, I'll be honest, if that kind of stuff is your cup of tea, this book is going to be good for you, because it goes a lot into that, and it's pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's not my cup of tea. But it is. I mean, it explains a lot.
Yeah.
And some of it has to happen because of the way that the character development is. You got to know where they're at, and it explains some of the things that they do.
Now, do you have a favorite character in this?
Oh, you're the cat.
The cat?
Yeah.
I'm between the Raoul and Grimm. I like Grimm as a character. I enjoy Raoul.
Yeah. I'm probably the same. I like the struggles that went on there.
I also really like how he's not a joke character.
When he could easily be.
Yeah. Because and there is a scene where he's fighting a silk weaver. And it's actually pretty tense, and you do see that, like, he has these techniques, and, like, later on they go in, and there are, like, ways that cats fight, and it's mentioned that, like, when they're actually ready for a fight, it's also pretty tough. Like, a human would have an issue fighting, like, four cats. Like, which, honestly, if 4 cats decided they wanted to kill you.
Oh, if they really wanted to. You see a feral cat? Have you ever seen a feral cat?
I have not.
Yeah, go on YouTube, and there's videos of, like, them in veterinarian offices, and these cats are just flying off the walls, dude.
Oh.
They're just violent. Dude, yeah, I will actually see those videos before you listen to this book.
I mean, they mentioned that too, where it's like, it looks chaotic, but that's a squad of cats that are fighting very specifically to give the other cats an opening while they're distracting, and how it's very tactical. I have gotten cat scratch fever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which there's a song about it, and everyone thinks I'm making a joke about the song.
Are you serious? No, everyone should know there's a song.
Yeah, I tell them, like, I got cat scratch fever. Like, oh, the song. No,
no, that's a real thing.
Yeah, I went to the hospital.
But it doesn't happen that often because, like, a lot of people don't know about it nowadays.
Yeah.
But, I'm old, so I've heard about everything like
cat dirt gets in your lymph nodes.
Yeah.
I was proud of myself because I was a little kid, and I woke up and I said, something's wrong, and I collapsed. Like, very cartoony. Like, very sitcom. I said a thing, like, I don't feel so good, and I passed out.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought that's funny, right?
Well, no.
I mean, I'm fine.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I get you.
Um,
Now, if you have cats, you're gonna like it. I've had cats, so it's funny because the writer obviously took some care into figuring out he must have cats or know someone that has cats because he took a lot of time into figuring out the things that they do. And it's like one point they're looking for people, and I mean they're in danger, and he's like, I'm just gonna wait over here.
and he's like, he's meeting another cat from a different clan,
was
and they have
great.
to. The way that you do that is they have a disinterested contest where you have to look like you don't view them as a threat more than the other one.
Right. Whoever's the most disinterested
Is the dominant one.
Is the dominant one.
Which and it's such a thing where like I see that in a movie where he's like, take me to them and I'll handle it. And the music ramps up as they circle each other, and then they just look away, and then they're like, how long is this gonna take?
Yeah.
And they're like, it could be a couple.
And
hours.
if anyone has cats, they've seen that.
That's
where your cat just looks at you like whatever.
Yeah, which is like I started looking up cat behavior because I was like, I never thought of this for cats, but like viewing something as disinterested is also their way of being friendly. That's
I don't know if cats are friendly.
well that's the thing, is it's almost like an alien thought process.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it is alien to a lot of us, but that's why you always hear stories.
You exist.
Yeah, like to show a cat that you trust them, and they'll do it to you, is they blink slowly at you. That's because they're showing you that they're fine closing their eyes in front of you. If you'll notice, if there's a cat you're friendly with, if you do a long blink, they'll do it back to you, and they'll go like this. They go, and then they look away because they're showing you that like they see you. They don't care about you as far as being a threat, which is their version of a compliment. And that's why you'll hear stories where the person who hates cats and doesn't want them around them, the cat will go to them because to them, they're being affectionate. To them, the person that's ignoring them literally is showing them that they trust them the most.
Wow.
The person who stares at the cat and makes noise at it, that's someone that doesn't trust them, so why should they trust them?
Man, why can't women be more like cats?
Brother, do not get me started.
Wow. No, but, because you imagine that? The more noise you make, you stay away. Anyway. No, I my cats just blinked because I always hit him with pillows. But yeah, he had to have done some stuff with cats because it is too funny.
He mentioned so many little things too, where like, he like puts the cat curls his tail around his claws as like a sign of like, I don't trust you, because it's like, do they have their claws out? Do they not? Like they're ready for you. It's like so many things in cat body language that I believe he could have made all of this up, but I now believe that that is how cats work.
Yeah. And then, I mean, and talking to them, dude, they are in no way think that the male or the human species in this book is remotely smarter than them.
Yeah.
They feel at any time they could turn the tide. And that, I mean, there's a part where it cracked me up. So they're teaching her how to fight for this duel. And he just can't get it because he's like, they're teaching her to fall. Why would they teach her to fall? And he's all, you learn to fight by fighting.
Yeah.
It was really funny, man.
Yeah, why don't you just slit his throat while he's in bed? That's what a smart person would do.
Yeah. And then there's a part in the book where she does that, and he's super proud of her. Yes, little mouse.
Yeah, I all these little things with that cat. Every time it like pans away from a scene, and you'll just see Rao like with his like female companion, or just him alone, like just like thinking about them, and just like he's just there and he's watching. He's like, I don't care that much, and he walks away. Or it'll cut to them being like, what's like the part where they get on the ship and like, what's that up there? And it's the cat, and it's like I heard the Pirates of the Caribbean music.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
When you reveal like when the cat like climbed all the way up to the top of the ship, because that's what cats do. And I picked dun-dun-dun, 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 and you just see the wind blowing in his hair, and he's like, this ship is mine. This is my ship. I'll allow you to be on it.
And what I like about it too, and I know this is going to sound really weird, but speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, he didn't really do any stereotypical pirate crap.
In what way?
In the way that you would have the, got a guy. arr,
Yeah.
you know, and it's funny because you think about pirates and what we think about pirates, you know, the arr, matey, when, you know, there were French pirates, there were all sorts of pirates, dude. But every pirate we see is that pirate.
Yeah. And I think these characters are the more actual pirates, which is they were former military.
Yes.
And they were either unofficially working for their military
Yes.
or they were abandoned and they're like, well, we're just going to,
Right.
you know, oh, our government doesn't care if we attack other ships, so we'll just do that for money. And it that's what I like about it is it's, you know, it's clear he put research into cat behavior.
Yes.
And like old nautical days.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where that sense of, because I totally believe that that's a thing in Navy days, which was like, if you sink a ship, give them a life raft. Like that seems like as a sailor, that has to be the thing that you're like, do not let that happen to me. Why would I let that happen to someone else?
Yeah, and even what I like the best that not the best, but one of the things I like that you'll really like is, you know, listening to the actual battle scenes between the ships. Man, freaking awesome.
The final battle scene, I was actually like in it. I like felt the tension every time. It was like, oh, like I was out and it was like, I don't know like who's going to live or die. So it was like, there were so many moments where like, I forgot that like, that mindset of like, they're the protagonists, they'll live.
Yeah.
Like by then I was like, oh my God, like, are they doomed now? And then it's like, but what's that over there? And then like so many things happen. And I was like,
it's Flywaymen.
Yes, it's the Flywaymen. And then a bunch of people on rocket ships come in. I'm like, oh my God, it's in the same setting.
No, it was, but that's really cool. And I like, and you kind of get a feel for it, but you don't really, it hits home where kind of the ship in itself is its own character. Mm-hmm. How like everyone kind of loves this ship that they're on, this little wooden, you know, ship that isn't as fast as some of the others, isn't as powerful as some of the others, but they still manage to actually, you know, Captain Kirk it, you know, which is really cool.
And that's because they mentioned, you know, so there's like crystals, like trim crystals and lift crystals, and those are what lets you fly and change directions. But the core crystal is what powers it and lets everything happen in the first place. And like, because like, it's kind of like a fingerprint where each like energy, you know, tendril shapes differently and that forms the crystal, and every crystal sounds different when you get to know them. And like when the Predator ship, the main ship that the heroes are on, when it like powers up, it sounds like it's singing. And, you know, he mentions like, and I could have sworn she was laughing. Like it sounded like sheer laughter as we approach the enemy. And it is, you know, and they go and you find out from magical users that there's more credence to that than people even realize, because there's ethereal energy. That's the magic system, is ethereal energy. Crystals are like conduits to it. And then etherealists are people who can control it. And we're also introduced to two of those people. Those are the other main characters.
Yes.
Probably the longest description of someone's outfit that I can recognize in a book.
Yeah.
I would say it's actually necessary, because what I noticed that I don't notice things. So I noticed I like when books describe someone's outfit, they rarely actually do it. It's surprising how often it's just this, you kind of get an idea in your head, like what that person wears, and you'll see artwork on the book, and then you can like put it there. But a lot of the times they'll mention that he dressed casually, and we're introduced to a mage who dresses, everything she wears is, I guess, quirky would be the word.
Yeah. You would definitely like the one book that I told you about, which is Redwall.
They describe everyone's outfits.
That and food. But it's about little mice that are like knights and stuff. A really good book.
I would like that.
But they go into high description.
Yes, because etherealists are also loopy.
Yeah.
They meant, you know, there's energy coursing through them, and it does stuff to your mind, and it eventually will drive you crazy. And the one we meet is the apprentice. Her name is Folly, and she, I mean, we would be here all day just describing her outfit, but she wears like different stockings and like a shirt. That's and her hair is different colors, and she can only talk to crystals in jars. She can't actually talk to people.
Correct. Well, she doesn't like to talk to people. Who she actually has those conversations with is crystals. So people are just kind of, it almost seems like at times people are just, they're the ghost of her world. That's how I got it sometimes. Where they didn't really exist. Yeah, they were there, but the crystals were the one telling her, hey, that person's over there. Or, hey, it was good though. I liked that. When they brought that character, I liked it.
And she's the apprentice to, this is purely off memory, Ferris, something like that.
Supercalifragilistic?
Expialifranis.
Yes. That was her name. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Dude. Good job.
That's his, and he's like a traditional wizard who's like, and I need a hat soaked in vinegar and get me this and give me 2 shoes worn by 2 different people. Give me the left shoe worn by an orphan. And he has like, that's his apprentice is in charge of getting him items that he's just like, I need a jar full of peppers. And he's just like, and they do show that like if he doesn't get that, he'll start breaking down in like a very sad way.
Yeah. I need a pickle with a toothpick in it.
Yes. And that toothpick must be from the tree of an elderberry. And very fun mage characters. A very fun way of playing with the old wizard, too.
Yes, no, that was.
And I do like that they mentioned that in my head, he looks like a Santa Claus guy.
See, in my head, too.
Until he gets serious. And they mentioned that, like, as soon as he gets serious, he ages by, like, 30 years. And he really looks like an old, sad man.
Methuselah.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, old guy.
Okay. And normally, though, he is like a jolly and get me glasses worn by a cat. And but the second he's like, and now we prepare. They mention like his eyes get sunken in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that part. So, I mean, overall, there's so much. I can honestly say there's a lot packed into this book.
I mean that is just the premise.
Yeah, there's a lot packed into this book. And it's all good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I had my issues with it. But if you like politics, descriptive, magic, and with a little bit of funny, they're definitely worth your while.
Yeah, and what I liked about it is the romances. There's like one main romance, and I liked it because it's not a thing where they like get together even by the end. I think it is like
it's not like a Fabio, vampire book.
Yeah, it is like those two like each other.
Yeah. And
they're getting to know each other. And I am like, it's one of those things where it's like, I like to think I'm not into romance stories. But anytime I experience it.
And it's really subtle and it's cool.
Yeah.
His thoughts and different things like that, him protective. And it was good. Yeah, when you look back at it, it's good. So, and I can't wait to maybe get myself into the next book. And there's a good chance I'll probably come back to this book. Because, that's how I do it.
Now, my theory... Oh, you know what's crazy? Is we have talked for an hour and we only covered, like,
the first 3 pages.
The first 3 pages. It is such a packed story, and there's so much that happens, but it is like, well, you can discover that. There is I mean...
And we don't even... There's spoilers, too. We haven't even...
Yeah, I mean, I was already kind of uncomfortable talking about the cat because it's like...
Yeah.
I enjoy... I mean, but that's also premise. That is on the back of the book.
Yeah.
But I enjoy discovering stuff like that on my own. But, like, there's a lot of stuff the story does. I like the way it handles, like, war and the... I like anything that makes it ambiguous. I don't like it when it's like, those guys are evil, and if you overhear them talking, they're like, I can't wait to pillage. And
that's true.
I like that the bad guys were shown, like, the whole reason the bad guys' plot got ruined is they wanted to avoid killing people.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting killed over it.
Yeah.
And it was like... So the heroes were willing to kill more than the villains were.
Yeah.
And now the villains are largely either trying to make up for that mistake or out of revenge.
Yeah.
And, like, the thing that ruins their big plot is because they wanted to have mercy on a guy that they're like, we can't torture him like that. That's horrible. There's evil wizards that, like, the bad guys are afraid of, and it's kind of like they're doing this under orders of them, and maybe they wouldn't even be doing this if they didn't have to.
It's the bartender Death Star paradox.
What?
The bartender Death Star paradox. The bartender didn't do anything. And he got destroyed with a Death Star.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So who's the bad guy?
Yeah.
Is it the rebels?
Yes.
Or the Empire? That poor bartender. They didn't even give him time to get out on any ships.
Like
So,
a warning. It was a
who's the
sudden
bad
quick
guy?
attack. Yeah.
Who's the bad guy? And they have some dude that has the ability. They built in, the easy access to get to the main core, and they had a guy that had Yoda helping him. Not Yoda, had Obi-Wan Kenobi helping him through it. What odds does that poor bartender have? He's thinking, man, I can't wait, man. In 2 weeks, I get off and I could go down to Tatooine and, get a little party on. And, what was his last words? Oh, that's it. What did he get out of it? Yeah. What did he get out of it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, stormtroopers, I get it. They know what they signed up for. But this bartender, he's just looking at it as a good gig.
That's that's why I like the Metro games. Is they make it to where, like, if you have to kill, do it, but you lose moral points if you even shoot someone.
That's like Fallout 2.
Yeah, and I remember there's a point in, I think, Last Light Metro where like you just like break into the barracks and like there's just and it's like you're breaking into a Nazi camp, and like because it's in Russia and there's 3 factions and one of them is Nazis, and there's a guy reading a book and he was like, dude, I was inscripted. I don't believe in any of this. Like I have to be here. Like this is between the higher ups, and it's on. Like if you choose to kill him, you lose moral points because it's like that. For one, that was a surrendering guy.
Yeah,
and he's like, yeah, I was drafted. I was born and drafted, and that's why I'm here. I didn't have a say. And and the game does that a lot, even with monsters. There's a part in the game where you're told to escape, and if you stick around and keep shooting the monsters, you lose moral points because you didn't have to do that. Those are animals.
Wow. That totally makes sense.
Yeah. So anything that's like willing to like show like ambiguity in war.
Yeah.
Because I know that was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
And during the beach scene, there's like guys surrendering. Like we were like inscripted. We're prisoners of war.
Yeah, but
and they get shot down.
And you find at the end that he should have taken that guy out.
So,
but that's a whole nother thing. So, but anyway, I believe it or not, I mean that does have to do with the book, not Nazis, but
moral ambiguity.
Yeah.
War, magic, spiders, like a faction dedicated to fighting those spiders.
We haven't even got into. We didn't even
the
get
verminocitors.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's so much stuff.
Do you want to take a break and then add more to it?
I don't know. Maybe we should.
I think we're gonna have a little intermission.
Yeah,
that'll
think
be
so.
a little spoiler break. This might be a little longer than usual.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
yeah. All right.
We'll take a quick break. We were just having fun in that intermission break. You'll never know.
Oh my goodness. I can't even believe that you did that with a plate.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So welcome back. We had to take a fast intermission.
This is a much thicker book than I realized, too. This is a 16-hour audio book.
Yeah.
One of the longer books. After this, you jump into 40 hours and stuff, but
yeah, like Clan of the Cave Bear, I think is over 40. Mammoth Hunter's over 40.
I think 40 is like the max for a book.
Yeah.
So this is half to the max.
Yeah, and it's not bad. It's good. Like I said, I
mean, it sounds like this genre is just not for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
Because apparently one of the things with steampunk is it has to be Victorian era. That involves like upper class families and politics.
Maybe I'm not just upper class, Kevin.
I couldn't understand anything you said except Governor.
That's the point.
Yeah. Maybe there's like a low class steampunk book out there.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
maybe.
I mean I do like street urchins. I want to see a street urchin steampunk.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Let us know.
All right. But don't get me wrong. See, even if it's kind of like you've said, it's not for you. It's not like it's not like I disliked it. There were a lot of things in it that I really liked.
It's just you wouldn't read this on your own.
Yeah, I mean, if yeah.
That's where I mean.
Yeah.
That's that doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But I think it's one of the better examples of like a team storyline where everyone matters in a different way. And that
no, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, because you could totally feel the difference between espionage, right, as a teen book, versus this. This is a little. I mean, some of the things are complex, man. Some of the political aspects in this book are complex, and the characters that blend in between them, if you think about it.
Well, I said this is one of the better ones.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
I realized that like halfway through that you misheard me.
Sorry about.
I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Because what if I correct you and you're like, no, I heard you.
No. Yeah, you'd be like, what? No. I understand.
Yeah, I like finding books that are like examples of good elements in anything. And I usually find every book you'll find that handled this subject or this way of storytelling better than anything I've seen before. And I find every book is like that author, his strength is that little nugget right there. And I'm
you're a writer.
I'm gonna steal that.
See, because he's a writer.
And I'm gonna collect all of the nuggets, and it's gonna be me every time I go to Vegas, which is ordering a bucket of 40 chicken nuggets, and as much barbecue sauce as they'll let me have.
I don't know where that.
I would do that.
I have no idea where that went and why it went to chicken nuggets. I'm thinking nuggets of information, and he's going to be a millionaire, and he's going to take those nuggets, and then all of a sudden we're in Vegas at the Circus buffet.
I'm going to take those nuggets of information and dip them into the barbecue sauce of insight.
Now that's better. I like that.
It came through at the end a little bit.
That did come through.
Now, yeah, we covered the prologue and we haven't even covered the setup of the story yet, which is interesting because there is so much background. This might be an example of the difference of them giving you all of this information in the beginning, which is you have to get to it before you can talk about the storyline.
Yeah, that's true. So, they talk about the flat earth or whatever, not the flat earth, but the
shattering of the world.
The shattering of the world. And it's weird because they introduce characters and things into the situation that at first you just think are really no big deal, but are very big deals. The silk weavers, for example.
And what I like too, and I didn't notice this on the first listen, I'll see if you did. The cats talk about the silk weavers in the very beginning. The cat, when the first time Ral and Muriel talk, she's like, there are whispers of ambushes in the ventilation tunnels.
Yes.
And he's like, cowards. And it's like, all right, well, that's what cats do. So it's it's funny being like, when someone else does it, it's bad and very cat.
Well, what's weird is so they go through these things are in the tunnels. And at first, and then not only they're in the tunnels, there's like robbers in the tunnels. There's all sorts of people in the tunnels. And at first, they're talking about these things as they're like big spiders, and that most of the time people are running into the smaller versions of the spiders. The adults are very rarely seen. So most of the time they're running into adolescent.
Because the only ones that can get into the spires, the cities people live in, are the ones that can squeeze through the vents.
Like the cats.
Yeah, so the cat, and they mentioned that cats fight these things. Like that's the behind-the-scenes thing cats do that they don't even tell people about. Right. Which is another reason, it's like, you would not get rid of cats because all those little spiders are going to come in.
Yeah.
They fight them at tunnels, and they have
and it's funny. Did he think of that? I mean, now that you say that, you think, was that part of his thought process in the story?
As far as like the cats being
having a purpose, outside of the story, just an ongoing. Because another character mentioned that too.
Yeah, I think that.
Well, what are they good for? But to go around and capture other little,
Yeah, they're pest control, and I think that's like
that's interesting.
That's definitely like an evolution of world building where it's just like,
oh yeah, that was great.
Why do people keep these annoying things around? Yeah. And it's like, how do we reference these pirate times? Why were cats stored around? Was to keep rats out. What's a fantasy version of rats? Why do people have to respect cats and put up with their behavior? There's another book that had a talking cat that I really liked what it did with the behavior, which was a cat got the ability to talk and was very like snooty. And then he was just like, if you keep talking like that to me, we're done. And I'm not hanging out with you. And the cat apologizes. And it's just like, I was raised like this. I'm sorry. And it was like very interesting. I was like, I like that. Dungeon Crawler Carl. I really like it. It was a very human moment where I was just like, yeah, like it is an animal.
That's true.
So
go ahead.
I was just going to go with the setup more. So the duel is challenged. Captain Grimm, his ship has been shot down. He's like, I don't have a crew anymore. it's over. It's going to take decades to get crystals like that ever again. he's been ambushed because he was viewed as big enough threat. And I really like his whole crew. I love.
Yeah, I do too.
His engineer, which I feel like you will nail his engineer's voice.
Oh my gosh,
Captain, or what's the quote he says? Like, sorry, Captain. Just damn. What's a line he says?
Oh my goodness, I can't even. Yeah, I'm still thinking of the other one.
But they do a lot of things with it where like, cause he tells him like, if something goes wrong, you leave me here, and that's an order. And he goes like, didn't quite hear you, Captain.
Yes.
And it is just like his crew is like loyally rebellious to him.
Yes.
In this, and he mentioned like, that's not my crew, that's my family. This ship is not a ship; it's my home. This is like, because someone is like, I want to buy that from you, and he like slaps him. It was great.
Yeah, but well, the ship is more to the captain and the crew than just a ship.
Yeah.
So you took it for a dive without a captain. Yes, sir. I don't even know how to do the
yes,
guy's
sir.
voice. But yeah, it was great. It was
great. His whole crew I love, and so he's stranded at this harbor that happens to be next to the school that our main characters are at.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready for their big duel. Ral has got his podium, and I really, he's smacked someone around a little because they didn't respect him, and he scratched his claws. I also was thinking visually, how do you handle this in a movie? Because Ral will talk, and then they'll mention Bridget just translates what he says.
Yeah.
So like, how do you handle that in a movie or a TV
Yeah, because
show?
all they hear is meow, meow. And she's like, he told you you're fools.
Yes.
And you should jump off a bridge. Yeah.
He said you're going to die.
Yeah.
Ral, I'm not going to say that. You're being silly. Yeah, and I like they're like he like says something like snarky, and he's like, "What'd he say?" She's like, "He said he wants a bath."
Yeah.
And the cat's like, "Oh, come on."
I mean, it's worth it just for that, just for the cat stuff. But that's
cat's the highlight. They're getting ready for this duel. I think he's a wizard. They're not very specific on what's happened. It's vague. But the Spire Arc is the one who built the city they're all living in. And he's pretty chill. He eats dumplings. And he's taken an interest in this duel. And finally, we get to the big thing, which is when they get ready to fight, the alarms go off and they get attacked.
Yeah, now, what we've been talking about is kind of the whole book, but not the whole book. So all that, and now we're at the duel.
That is the premise of this book.
No, there's so much more to it, but it's just a joke. You'll know it when you read it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you read the synopsis, it's just that. But there's so much in this that.
But that whole battle thing was pretty freaking cool, and it was all political.
Yeah, and that's where you get that like interesting standoff where the bad guys tried to avoid killing people.
Yeah,
and that resulted in them. So it's like the heroes won because they were more ruthless.
Yeah.
And they mentioned like Bridget, the crystal girl, she shot first immediately, and she shot the guy in the face. And they're like the bad guys.
Oh, that's right.
Are like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And then the Captain Grimm's crew is able to like intervene and help out as much as he can, and he gets bit by the Silk Weavers invade.
That's right.
And
everyone's diving their ship, but saying how dangerous and no one should dive their ship.
Yeah, it's an emergency maneuver you only do every time.
5 times in this book.
Every single time. It's an emergency thing that we'll do every single time.
Yeah.
I forgot that was a thing they said you can't do until I was like.
But you could picture it. I mean, using your imagination, that would be stunning in film.
Mm-hmm. And they mention each ship's because it's basically just like you lose power, and it's like if the plane was like, all right, turn the propellers off,
you just drop out.
And you have to you have to turn off the ethereal webbing, and it's just a hunk of wood that is crashing to the sky.
But I mean, you could solely see it, just like if you were looking below it and then just see it pivot towards you. That would be an awesome shot. Yeah,
there's a great. I liked the standoff that they had where like one of the characters was taken hostage. I would say that does kind of go on for a bit.
Yeah, I mean this would make a great anime, I think.
Yes, especially with a cat, because in a movie you can't have a cat that costs.
Dude,
you have to do entirely CGI.
It'd be so good.
Has a great opening with the wind and the etherealists doing their thing.
Yeah,
which I liked when the etherealist was attacked. I like the way the etherealist talks too, because he kind of is breaking the fourth wall, where he says stuff, where it's like, this is the end of what? The beginning. And then it is like, oh yeah, the story is just beginning, huh? And he like, the Captain Grimm, his real name is Francis Madeline.
Oh, that's right.
And so his friend calls him Mad in a reference to his middle name. So when the etherealist is talking to him, he's like, oh, you're not mad, except you are. And it's like he knows like all these little things about him, even though he's never met the guy. And he's like, this is the part where this happened. And he's like, and when he is attacked though, because the main weapon is these gauntlets, and he starts like crying when these people come in to kill him. He's like, please don't. There's nothing but pain for you there. And he's like, Folly, look away. And it cuts I can see the movie thing, which is it just shows Folly, and you just hear noises and death, and she's just like, I can smell their burning flesh.
Oh my goodness, you were so right.
Yeah, and
oh
she's
my
like,
gosh, you're
she
so
has
right.
she has her ears closed,
and then she's describing everything.
Yeah, and then it just cuts away. And you just reveal the etherealist Frennis just standing there like, Folly, we've been attacked. What does that mean? And she's like, that someone wants to kill you. Yes, but more so. That someone knows where you live. Uh-huh. And that whole dialogue they have.
That was cool.
Is so much fun. And the visuals, that's the most movie. Like that scene, I see it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I didn't forget about it, but when you brought it up, I'm like picturing it the way that you explained it. Yeah. Yeah. And so, so this big battle's happening, and which is phenomenal the way they describe it. I mean, I think because there's different classes of ship. So there's some like giant like armor class ships that, that there's no way that you can break through the armor, and they have all these guns.
And they all have like force fields too, called a shroud. That the crystal generates. So the stronger your core crystal, the stronger your shroud can be.
But in the beginning of the book, the ship that we're in reference to gets through one of those by just experience, and they know if they hit that shroud in a certain area over and over and over again, that it'll weaken it. And so, I really like the way that they had some of these older like guys that had that experience that other people might not have. Yeah,
and that's what the great thing with Captain Grimm is. He's not superhumanly strong. You don't even see him in a fist fight that much. I think the only thing he's fought is like the spiders.
Right.
He shoots or he like leads his men, and that's his strength. And he uses all of that and literally uses his politeness and manners to defeat the biggest threat in the storyline. Yeah. He's so polite that there's nothing that thing can do to him.
Yeah. Just a very respectful, honorable guy.
Because it has this rule as part of its quirk. So, like, he's just like... I thought that... Because it's like every etherealist has, like, a different thing. And Folly has to talk to crystals. Frennis needs, like, a different item every now and then. And then this etherealist can't attack you unless you're rude to her. And so at one, she's like, "Oh, sorry. Does that bother you?" And he's like, "Not at all, ma'am." And like the story, like it mentioned, she starts getting frustrated because he refuses to be rude to her, and she's just like, "All right, go away."
Yeah, that was true. Yeah, and so you think them well in the story, some people get taken prisoner. You think that was drawn out?
I would say that's the only scene where I was like, "This is going on for a bit."
Yeah. And then uneventful?
I mean, no, yeah, a little uneventful.
The escape wasn't that.
Again, the highlight of it was Ral.
Yes.
The highlight of it was that Ral had to go get help.
Yes.
And he can, like, no one else spoke cat. So, like, he runs into Captain Grimm's crew, and they're like, "Captain, I think the cat's trying to tell us something." And it starts like Ral like he walks up to a dead enemy and like swipes it like, "Oh, he hates them. Oh, there's more of them. Where are we going, boy? After the cat." It's such I don't know, just the pirate crew like slowly realizing that cat is sentient.
Yeah.
And we're going to follow it now.
Right. We're going to like compare its movements to the map.
Yes, and we're going to portion them out, and we're going to follow it.
That part was pretty funny.
Yeah, and like how often Ral gets paired with Captain Grimm, who can't speak English at all.
Yeah.
Or can't speak cat at all. So...
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
The I liked the just showing the enemy faction with that standoff scene.
Yeah.
And I think that was largely a Crystal Girl, not Bridget, Elizabeth Lancaster. I'll call her Lancaster. That's her last name.
Oh, it is.
Her scene, because she's the one who took charge of that moment. and she was able to out like hostage situation an enemy squad of trained soldiers.
No, true.
Because she's like, I'll just blow up this bomb.
Yeah, that was good.
And
then they weren't believing her. It's like, you know, and then, yeah, no, that was
and
good.
she walks him through this process like, there's nothing you do to win. If you kill my friend, I fire this bomb and you blow up, you don't get a cheat. And he just like walks him through it. And the guy goes like,
yeah, you got a point.
Yeah, you got me. Like, it is just like, all right, well, it's over.
Yeah.
And
that part kind of tripped me out. I get it's the whole feel of it. It's the whole feel of you don't have a set, like in most, you have a set villain that will kill anybody or do whatever. Even the bad guys had these moral dilemmas that they were dealing with that totally coincided with the typical hero characters that you're reading in the book too. So to make it all more, I guess, cohesive in that morality, which is our ideal of Victorian and different eras like
and I like that because their enemy super soldier is like, I don't know if they say stuff that where I'm like, you know, this would be a part where if you were shown a visual, it would become immediately clear.
Yeah.
But they say things that imply like maybe he was spliced with ether, like silk weaver genes instead of cat genes or something.
Yeah.
But like they're called warrior born. These like the people that are born maybe they're born with it. Maybe they're, you know, it's a genetic super soldier thing. But they have a sense of like code with each other too.
Yes.
And like when two of them go to fight, they mention it's like you know, what's your name? You know, this is mine. Remember me when I die. You remember me when I die. And they have this very strong sense of honor with each other. And when they fight, where it's like, you know, they're like so fast and quick that like, you know, they can barely make out what's happening to the outsiders.
And I would say, when you listen to this book, you really gotta. I don't think it's one of the. Well, in some parts of the book, it's okay to cook and do stuff while you're listening to it. But the problem is that he throws things in there like that explain what you're going to be reading. So like, you know, they make statements where she's like, I'm not warrior born, so I'm not like born into knowing how to fight. Mm-hmm. And so when you see these things later on in the book or listen to these things later in the book, it kind of makes sense because they're not like normal people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked the way that was dropped because it was not as you know dialogue. It was establishing all these things about him. So you have to establish that these people need to eat way more than normal. Yes. And because later on it becomes an actual issue. So like in the beginning, you know, it's like, aren't you hungry? And Benedict, I think that's his name, the cat boy. And he's like, no. And she's like, I think I can hear your stomach grumbling. Yeah. And then she's like, I know you know, it's like, you know, he tries to pretend like he doesn't need to eat more because he's like ashamed of it. And it, you know, like establishing that because later on it is like, oh no, you can't be around him when he gets really hungry because he's an actual threat.
Yeah.
Because he does become more like animalistic and it is like, you can see like that's the thing he's ashamed of and all these things.
Yeah. So it's definitely, I mean, I guess if I listened to it again, I would probably be looking for more of those.
The little bits of this is I think no scene is wasted in this. I don't think there's any.
I agree with that.
There's no like filler because every scene, it's a long book, but every scene does establish a little nugget of information that you need because later on it's going to pay off. And I assume because the Dresden File series here, that's 17 books long, and the whole thing, you know, like it's a straightforward. It's like the whole thing through, all connected. So I think that's a thing he's like planning for.
Nice. So what next?
For this?
Yeah, where are we? What are we gonna?
Do we want to jump into the heavy spoiler stuff? Because the premise
you're thinking of it like what? Heavy spoiler stuff? But there's more.
The premise is this group of people, because they were isolated and they were shown fighting the enemy, they're the only people that the leader can confirm is not a potential traitor, because the captain, what he did would be suspicious because he happened to be there at the right time, but he's a disgraced captain, and I loved that background for him too, as they gradually give you hints about it more and more and more, where it's just like you know, eventually they're like, the Admiralty board like screwed him over, something happened he had to take the blame for. His friend was a part of it, and he like didn't.
And it's all hush hush.
Yeah, and it's like it's a shame, but he's like so loyal to his city.
And everyone knows him for that. Mm-hmm. So like the key characters will say, well, "Aren't you Captain blah blah blah?" And this is what happened. And he's like, really? I can never get away with it.
Yeah, but he won't even deny it because he's so loyal that he's just like, he'll just say like, not everything's what you hear. And, but he won't say like, they'll tell you what they did, which is what I would do, which should be like, oh, I'll tell you about that disgrace that I got.
Right. I think anybody would, but but that's the whole like kind of Victorian feel, that whole honor system, which is kind of cool when you think about it. 'Cause it kind of like us, we're like, dude, I would totally rat her out. Mm-hmm. I would rat them out. I didn't do it, but it's good.
Yeah, and that where he's like the disgrace. Oh, I lost my train of thought. He's disgraced, but and there's a part where they're talking about it, and the person he meets someone who's like, so you're telling me the person that ran through with an arm and a sling to fight a bunch of like giant spiders was outed or kicked out of the military for cowardice.
Yes.
So he's like, so clearly the Admiralty is doing, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I can tell that someone lied here, something wrong.
Yeah, and you get that later on. You get that later on in the book when you really start seeing him do things that are nuts, and then all of a sudden people are like, wait, and this is the guy? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. We get in, so that's that they're sent, like, we need you to, I forget why they were sent out there, but you need to go to this area to get to this contact to get information, because we need to know who is the mole that's in our thing that's letting them like get access to all this information and know exactly when to attack us.
Well, that's what I mean. Then that whole like answer is a spoiler.
You think that'll be the spoiler mark? Well, folks, what if we got like an image for spoilers too?
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe later we'll get that.
Maybe a dead silk weaver up there. Anyway, so yeah, because then we could talk freely about some of the other stuff that's happening.
Yeah. So as of now, So before we get the spoiler mark, what would you give this?
I would probably give it, and I'll be honest, I know I seem like I was on the fence, but out of 5 silk weavers, I would give it a 3.
Okay, which a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 ain't bad.
That's a 6 out of 10. That's 60%. That's above average.
Yeah.
I see reviews like that, and honestly, the 3 out of 5 reviews I see, I don't disagree with. It is like, yeah, it's got issues.
Yeah.
I'm a bigger fan. Unfortunately, when I like something, I'm just like, well, that's a 5 out of 5. So I'm gonna say 5 out of 5 lift crystals.
Oh, he went lift crystals.
Yes. So we'll talk about that more.
And you think about that. He went lift crystals, and I went, silk weaver. See, so my 3 out of 5 is more of a dark, like maybe I shouldn't have given it to him. His is lift crystals.
It's lifting me up.
5 lift crystals.
With that many crystals,
yours is all nice.
I could run a ship for years.
I know, but mine, you make it seem like it's like a dark review because it's a silk weaver.
Look at this on the other hand. I would rather have 3 silk weavers than 5 silk weavers.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's a glass half empty of silk weavers.
All right.
So we'll talk about the spoilers because there are things that I think are interesting and want to talk about, but also that's part of the experience you should probably have on your own. Spoil alert. We'll replace spoiler alert with that alert.
Yes, alert. All right.
Yeah. So one of the enemy, who is just called the enemy, is there's 2 of them. One.
Wait, before you go there. So we talked about the silk weavers. Well, the silk weavers aren't operating on their own.
Yes. That's the first big hint, right? Because they're like, yes, and that leads to the really cool scene where one of the adult ones is just let loose into a bar.
Yep. And so the cats know that the silk weavers are not operating on their own. And when Raoul goes to gain the trust of the other cat things.
Now, how did you feel about the cat politics?
Well, at first I was like, okay, I kind of get it. And then I was kind of like really kind of weird about it. But then when it turns out they're being watched, it kind of changed everything.
Where they're like the cats are behaving differently.
Yeah, so they don't like have their children out where people can see them, but they were all gathered together, and he's asking for their help with the humans, and he's basically saying no. And he's saying, you can stay, but everyone else can go, because he's another cat.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out that there's silk weavers and watching this conversation. So at that point, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And then it turns out that the silk weavers are being controlled and operated through
Another etherealist.
another etherealist. Yeah, and they'll block entrances so the cats can't make it certain places with large, full-grown, which when you're dealing with the full-grown one, it's like, it's really kind of, the other ones are scary, and then when they say that they have a comment in the beginning, like you said, watch the comments, they're talking about, well, it's not a full-grown one. And then when someone said, "Oh, I saw a silk weaver," a full-grown one, it's like a crazy thing, dude.
And they're being controlled. So like when one goes into a bar, a silk weaver walks into a bar, and it like webs the door shut. And like the cool thing, like this bar is entirely veterans. So like there's like that pause moment where everyone's like, oh, and like everyone like, gets ready to fight, and it was like this horrifying scenario, but it was like this was like the worst place this silk weaver could have gone to, because this is just full of people willing to fight it.
Oh yeah,
and they talk. Yeah, the cat boy, he like is able to like dance around it and like do, and he gets bit and stuff, but it's like, but he's narrowly dodging, and the descriptions of the fight and like how he moves are so satisfying.
Oh, it was really cool. Yeah,
and like Raoul is like sent on this espionage mission to like go through the tunnels because we found a dead body, but it looks like he wasn't killed by a silk weavers. He was stabbed, and you find out that was a mercy from the bad guys. So their mercy got them exposed, and like all these things. And that's when I really liked when that reveal where the Folly like looks up, she's like, silk weavers, and like they're all dropping from this, and you get Raoul like fighting one.
Yeah. Oh, that was really cool.
And then like another one pops up, and it just says like, and then Bridget just stomped on it, and he was like, humans are good for one thing, their strength for certain.
Yeah. So I mean. And that's just another thing. I mean, it takes you there because at first the way the way they're explaining silk weavers, no one really knows where they come from. They're horrendous things, and you're just thinking it's a mindless animal, and then it turned out just like. And we should have known. We should have known by his introduction of the cats that not everything, just because you feel that it doesn't think and it doesn't have a mind on its own, does. And I thought that's what I got out of when I found that out. I went, wow, okay. So what else is out there? What else is in this thing that we wouldn't think that has an intelligence that does?
Yeah, I would like to find out more about the surface creatures that like.
Yeah, me too.
Like, are there other like intelligent creatures out there? Like, are we gonna meet like a group of silk weavers that are like, well, no, we're not like those ones. We're like sentient. Those are like feral silk weavers.
Yeah, we're the sophisticated ones. We have Denny's.
Yeah, we wear the silk.
That's right. They make silk like Hawaiian shirts.
Yes.
That'd be a good picture. I'm gonna draw that.
Yes.
A silkworm with a Hawaiian T-shirt.
That's the slogan, or like that's the mascot for a silk company.
Love it.
And we also get like, I really like a thing where like a joke character or a character you think isn't powerful or a threat ends up being very useful in a way that it doesn't come out of nowhere. Like with Folly, she gets like, they mention she's having these weird dreams.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And, there's a lot of dialogue that's fun that I'm a sucker for, where she's like, I bought a dream catcher, but it didn't work. Then it would seem that the dream caught you. And I'm like, all right. If I was in these rooms, I would just be laughing. Everyone's talking like this is normal, but I'd be like, that's great. That was great wordplay, dude.
That's funny.
And eventually she gets taken in her dream to like the surface. She finds out these aren't her dreams. She's been accidentally entering someone else's.
Right.
And that is where we encounter the enemy.
Right. And it's funny because it's pretty frightening in the description and the non-description of it. Because it's all misty. So down on the earth, it's like covered with a cloud cover. So she hears something, and it sounds immense. And it really, I like how they really pulled that off with not being too descriptive. I imagine the thing is massive.
Mm-hmm. And you just know it's whatever's out there, you would not want it to see you.
Right. And so she realizes that it's a dream. So she says to herself, well, if I'm in a dream, then the only way to, you get out of the dream. And so she calls out to this thing, and this thing is huge. And all of a sudden, now you have an introduction of something else, which kind of threw a big old wrench into me.
Yeah, because no one else knows about this, because she can't even really communicate this.
And even in her talking in the dreams in the book and describing it, I didn't get that. She was just having problems. I'm thinking, okay, but to have this huge thing. Now, here's the crazy part. So this huge thing is thinking that it's talking to the original person that he should be talking to, but he's not.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the best lines.
Yeah. Report.
So he's asking her to report her progress, report whatever. And she's like, dude, I don't know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not me. And the line where she goes, oh, you're evil. That was insane to me.
Yeah, this is the only thing that it's like, whatever this is, it's nothing but malice and hate.
Yeah.
And what I liked is, we're in free form spoilers, the evil etherealist. When Folly first meets her, she calls her a puppet.
Yes.
And that's just like a thing where these etherealists kind of already know the script. So she's like, I don't talk to puppets. And like, cause she's like, the evil one is like preparing to do this whole speech. And she's like, I don't talk to puppets.
Yep.
Whatever you have to say, it doesn't matter.
Oh,
don't waste my time.
See, that's what I mean about it. If you go back and look at it, it's like, dude, she was in her touch with that the whole time. Just didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, knew what it was.
Yeah. She just, you don't get to know what she knows.
Yeah.
And it was also like, it like does something to like mentally control her. And she goes, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Interesting. Are you trying to control my mind? And like, she's just able to like fight off this thing that, likely was able to like have an influence over this other mage or etherealist.
Yeah. And that was just insane, dude. It just blew my mind. I was like, what? Cause I mean, when you look at it and you look at it in a whole, yes, there's kind of not hints, but there's kind of, but nothing like that. I mean, I didn't get anything out of it. Was that a surprise to you?
Yeah, that was sort of like, and here's your exposure to the deeper plot line going on that we won't even go into until the second one.
Yeah, I mean, crazy.
Yeah, and that's I really like that because it's like, as far as everyone
that's
knows
where all the evil is.
Yeah, as far as everyone knows, this is a political thing between two nations.
Right.
And in reality, there is something much deeper happening above this, it's happening on the surface of the earth or whatever.
Well, then it makes you think, I mean, how much other stuff is going on? It just opened the door to me like, what? Okay. Why does this thing on the surface have that much control? And then what other things do they have control over?
Mm-hmm.
And then who is the mouse and who's the cat?
The little mouse.
Little mouse.
You are nailing that voice. That is exactly how it sounds in the audiobook.
He is like that, dude.
Yeah.
He's cool, though. It's a cool character.
The best cat voice, too, for that. Because it's like, that's probably how cats think they would sound.
Oh, yeah. Even the girl. Yeah, all of them always sound like they just take their time.
Yeah.
With what they say.
I am cat.
I am cat. And you are
mouse.
Little mouse.
Which he said, like, and Bridget is like a very large, muscular person, and he mentions it's rude of her to not fit her name anymore.
Yeah. And they refer to them as their humans.
Yeah.
This is my human.
Yeah. Does this human speak for you?
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. And I also like, too, how it's kind of like embarrassing to be affectionate around human. Because he mentioned, like, don't pet me when we're around other cats. Where he's like, I have a reputation to, like, uphold. And when they're alone, he acts just like a normal house cat, but he's like, no one's allowed to see this.
Yeah. So really, in the end, the biggest spoilers are that, which is a huge one, and the fact that the actual Silkweavers are linked into a faction, and they're being used as a tool to further them.
Yeah.
Which I didn't expect.
Yeah, and and the Verminocitors. That's not a spoiler. I just thought that was such a cool concept of like the exterminators in that world. They have like laser whips.
Oh yeah,
or like not lasers,
right.
but like these like spiked like energy things that they use to kill Silkweavers, and like they're like they killed one of ours, and so the vermin. There's like this whole like cavalry scene where the Verminociter like these bug exterminators come in and like help fight off an evil army or invading army or
there's like not silk webbing, but there's a long piece of rope or whatever, but it wasn't. It was anyway. So there's hooks on the end of each one that will dig into the
and it's to like dig in and rip off their armor.
Right.
So they do that enough in the same spot,
Right.
and that's how you can kill a Silkweaver.
And he always mentions their leathery armor, which in my head I kept on thinking not like hard armor, like just thick leather, nasty. Nasty.
I also, this is the thing, I liked how I could clearly see the video game rules in the system.
Yes.
The gauntlets, by the way, they're like they can fire 5 times, but but eventually they get too hot, and you have to let them cool down. I'm like, I know what that means. I know in the video game you can upgrade it eventually later to let you get off more shots. Of course, you could also let it do more damage, but it's going to overheat more.
Yes.
I also liked how it's like you can ignore that if you're okay with getting burned, and they mentioned that like they're really desperate, so eventually their arm starts getting like burning, and they can smell it, and like guns.
Oh, that's right.
The guns that they have, like people rarely use them because they're hard to aim, and the atmosphere like corrodes metal, and that's why there's copper everywhere, because copper resists it.
And they're super dangerous, so you got to really know how to fire it.
Yeah, and like only one guy knows how to use that. And here's the thing, though, Etherealists, they can block gauntlet fire. So like for a lot of people, Etherealists are like unstoppable.
But
maybe, and that's just the ways they have everyone.
You have Desert Eagle.
Yeah, like one guy with a gun, if he knew how to shoot it, could do a lot of damage in this.
Oh, did he?
I think that one too is like, you get like 2 shots out of a gun, but the thing is, you get 2 like those, like they can't be blocked, and so like there's like rules and all these things that I love when I'm like, I see that in a video game.
And what's cool especially about the gun part of it, you don't find that out till like way later. So, I'm sure there's someone out there going, I just get a gun.
Yeah.
I would kill everybody. No stopping me. And then all of a sudden later in the book, it's like, no, you can't get a gun.
No, they're very hard to find. They're very hard to use. It's way easier to put a gauntlet on. And apparently you aim it by going like this, which is a very anime pose, I feel. Because they're like, oh, we aim with these 2 fingers. And so the way everyone's fighting is they're going, pew,
pew. Yeah. I see that. See a stormtrooper.
Pew, pew. Yeah, you have to wink while you do it.
Yeah, so you guys get the idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't tune out just then. But that is very anime right there.
Pew.
Anyway, so so those, I mean, now overall that's pretty much it, and they like really leave it open for like the next. I didn't like dislike it.
It's just not your thing.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the cat politics more than the human politics?
Yes.
Yeah, the cat that easily the best part of that. That's why it's like, it's kind of a reveal that they can talk, but that's one of the biggest selling points of the series is the cat society.
Yeah, and like I said, it just sometimes rolled right into something else that I'm like, I'm still in my head, I'm still with the cats. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah, and eventually like they mentioned that humans like make weapons specifically for cats to use.
Oh yeah.
And they call them like spurs, which I don't know visually what it's supposed to be.
It's probably similar to, not that you've ever experienced or seen, neither have I, but when they fight roosters,
Oh,
they have a thing on
is
the
it
back
like
of its
another?
foot with
It's like
a
a claw-
spike.
Yeah.
That's what I pictured. Oh, okay. Because when the rooster fights, and it does this, and then
And Raoul, because Raoul's suiting up for war, and they mentioned cats don't have hands, so like other cats have to help him like put the little threads on, and they were designed for cats to be able to use, but normally a human would like set it up for them, and how it's like like that is like absolutely this could kill a person now.
Yeah.
So like they have like their whole war outfits because he's cats armies are being recruited, exterminator armies are being recruited, like this whole like this and it was such a great example of like, oh no, what's gonna happen now? The cats are here, and I was like, yeah,
it was like that, dude. It was like that. Totally.
I'm like, yeah, the cats are here. Look at them, they're messing them up.
Yeah, and you can see him like coming in the fog, going by him, going, I am here.
Yes, because he'll like, and there's a scene like in the very beginning when he first got help for him, he's like, little mouse, help comes, and people are looking around like, do you hear like a cat meowing?
Yeah. Hey, could you imagine that's all you would hear is a cat meowing?
They're like dead silent, holding each other at gauntlet point,
and you hear meow,
and like they hear the main character just starts smiling. It's like, what does that mean?
It means get to the chopper.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but I don't like it.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. So overall, what did you think overall? Well, you gave it a 5 out of 5 light crystals.
5 out of 5 lift crystals.
Lift crystals.
And I think, like, I feel like it's doing everything it's trying to do very well. I don't...
Oh, it is. Don't get me wrong. It is doing it.
Yeah. And, I mean, was my first exposure to steampunk. So, like a lot of these things I first saw, I was like, oh, I haven't seen political, like, moral ambiguity like this.
Yeah.
Pulled off. So like, oh, I really like that. I really like showing I like their different take on mages and how it's like, you either are one or aren't. You don't even necessarily want to be one. It's not even a good thing to be one.
And that's true. They did make it like some of the aspects of some of the things that they had. There were actually a lot of drawbacks to it.
Yeah. I loved that the team made sense as a team and everyone did their thing. And I never went, I'm tired of hearing this person's storyline. I was always like, what's happening with Benedict? Well, here you are right now. I'm like, yeah, Benedict, fight that freaking giant spider. Oh no, he's been poisoned. Raoul, where's Raoul? Oh, I hope he gets with Bridget. Oh, they're so good together. So that's just me going through this book. I'm like, I always think I'm not in a romance. I'm like, why can't you express your feelings to Bridget? She won't judge you. So 5 out of 5 that.
Yeah, I get that. So me, like I said, it's just I like the book. They did everything they were supposed to do. If you're into this type of book, I think you won't be disappointed. Overall, like I said, I mean it was enjoyable. Just not so much my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except for the cat stuff.
The cat stuff was great. If they did this another book just with the cats, you'd have me.
A whole book of the cats fighting off a Silkweaver invasion.
Oh, and the whole politics within the 3 factions and stuff. Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because I'm already invested in that. I'm like, the quick claws are so rude, and I'm like, that
would be great.
The silent paws, though, those are the ones we haven't seen yet. So what's going on with the silent paws?
Yeah, no, they're really quiet.
The quick claws, the silent paws. That's.
But I think that's it.
Yep, I think that we've got it. I don't know, like everything beyond this, we'll just be walking you through the storyline bit by bit. It's very emotional. I really like how they handle these characters dealing with PTSD, which gets into, and there's a very cool speech at the end where they talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's something that like I've like repeated to someone like going through something and with regret. I guess that will be my super spoiler. Will be that little line. And
there you go.
We'll have this at the end, literally after we say that's the end of this chapter, because I think you should experience that. But also, if you're not going to, you should just have that in mind. So,
all right, and that being said,
that's the end of that chapter. And we're fading away into blackness, and it's blackness now, and we're in the void. And then, so the character has a moment of regret, And the person they're talking to just asks them, if you knew what you knew then, would you have done anything different? And they go like, don't you mean if I knew what I do now? And he says, no, if you knew what you knew then, would you have made a different decision? And they go, no. And he's like, that's what you need to think. You can't always, if you always live in this world of like hindsight, you're always going to feel like you did something wrong. You did the best you could in that situation. And I think that's a great mindset that is a chunk that will stay in my head forever. And that's what I really like about books is every now and then I stumble upon something that I'm like, that is now a part of my life.
Well, that was perfect.